Once again, my name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you for joining us. Africa must step up its contributions to the Africa Peace Fund, earmarked for fighting terrorism and promoting peace building on the continent. That's according to the European Union head of delegation to Ghana, His Excellency William Hanna. Hanna believes advancing development on the continent is dependent on sustaining security, stability and peace among member states, a priority for the EU and the AU, as he observed. Speaking to Joy News in an exclusive interview, William Hanna revealed that since 2004, the EU has spent over €2 billion on the Africa Peace Facility and will continue to offer financial support to peace building and ensuring security in Africa, but must also increase its contribution.
We've contributed €2 billion to the Africa Peace Facility since 2004. Ghana is in a fortunate position but so many other countries, and you start to look at the countries in the Sahel, are facing problems of terrorism. Nigeria, Boko Haram, what's happening in the Sahel. Ghana has contributed peacekeepers, and I've met quite a number of them, to try and keep the peace in Africa, and we've been working with Ghana and with ECOWAS and with the Africa Union on all sorts of initiatives to create peace. So I think, if anything, incidents like that show people how much we have in common, how we're facing the same problems, the same threats, and if anything, we will increase our support for peace building in the future.
Are you impressed with the way the money has been used so far?
Well, the €2 million have gone to the Africa Peace Facility, which is set up under the Africa Union, and that's been financing operations all over Africa. And as I said, Ghana participates and contributes also some of its peacekeepers. I've talked to some of the military people who've been involved in these different operations, both in the Sahel, also in South Sudan, throughout Africa. So that's very important work, and Europe will keep up its contribution. I think it's important that Africa also steps up its contribution, because there are so many conflicts, there are so many needs, and that all countries should contribute to those funds. It's a top priority, and I think you'll see at the summit in Abidjan it will also be confirmed as a top priority, because without peace and stability, you can't begin to talk about development. Once you have peace, stability, then it's possible for development to take place. There are so many countries in Africa today which are still facing problems of security, insecurity, terrorism. It's really crucial to work together to address those problems so those countries can then begin to develop.
Now, as part of the commemoration of the AU Day, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Shirley Ayokoboche, is also asking Africans to work together for development. She's also called for investment in the youth of Africa to protect the rich legacy bequeathed to the continent by the great men and women who made the African liberation dream and union possible. Addressing a gathering at the forecourt of the State House to mark this year's African Union Day, Madam Ayokoboche said the only way to strengthen the union and advance in development is to invest in today's youth to lead the continent.
The goal of African unity underpins relations between AU member states. Furthermore, our continued and relentless march towards integration should continue to provide the incentive for all African nations to overcome the intolerable contradiction between our abundant natural resources on one hand and the economic deprivation to which most African citizens have been subjected to over the past decades. Distinguished invited guests, on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of the founding of the OAU-AU, African leaders adopted a solemn declaration which clearly demonstrated the essence of our collective struggles for freedom, justice, and accountability. The leaders, under the banner of Pan-Africanism of African Renaissance, envisioned in that declaration a future for our continent that spoke meaningfully to the aspirations of our peoples. Permit me to remind us all of the agreed benchmarks critical to the achievement of those aspirations. These include inclusive growth and sustainable development, good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law, peace and security, including the solemn pledge to silence the guns by 2020, shared values and ethics, development that is people-driven, and Africa that is strong, united, resilient, and influential global player. The path towards the attainment of that vision has been outlined in AU's Agenda 2063, which was formally adopted in June 2015. It serves as the basis for Africa's integration and long-term socio-economic transformation over a 50-year period. The first 10-year plan from 2013 to 2023 contains key accelerators of Africa's transformation. These accelerators have been described as the flagship projects and include an integrated high-speed train network, an African virtual and e-university, the Continental Free Trade Area, the Grand Inga Dam project that is projected to generate 43,200 megawatts of power, the Single African Air Transport Market, the African passport, and free movement of people. Even as technical negotiations proceed on the protocol that would govern the free movement of persons across the continent, Ghana has recently joined the ranks of the few African countries that have taken the bold step to issue visas on arrival to African citizens. We call on African nations to do likewise.
Let's move on to some other stories. And girls and women in Ghana have been identified to be largely marginalized in accessing and using the internet. According to the World Wide Web Foundation, less than 20% of women in Ghana are connected. The gap is caused by insecurities such as threats, revenge, porn, and fraud that women encounter. A 5-point action plan has therefore been developed by the World Wide Web Foundation to bridge this gap. Hanodami has more.
Ghana is making efforts to make technology accessible and usable to all, especially girls and women. The introduction of certain programs to promote digital literacy is one among other initiatives by the Communications Ministry to achieve this target. Deputy Communications Minister Vincent Suaudote made the disclosure in Accra. Mr. Audote noted his office is equipping community internet centers in districts across the country in a bid to ensure no girl is left out in gaining knowledge to internet use.
Well, we have an elaborate program to ensure that we proactively assist in bridging this gap through our Girls in ICT program.
Yeah, but once you try to demystify, there's an issue of accessibility and then affordability.
We are trying to design this program such that everyone in the rural areas across the country will have the opportunity to really experience some form of technology, and also for girls especially to know that there are huge career opportunities in technology. So that will address the issue of accessibility. As I said, once we set up the CIs, the first year, the connectivity is free of charge. So you can go there and the ladies can go there, browse and do whatever they can so that they will get used to technology.
A report card on women's rights online, launched by the Media Foundation for West Africa, highlighted challenges that women face in accessing, participating in, and benefiting from the World Wide Web. Manager for Freedom of Expression of the Foundation, Dora Mauto, explains measures that have been adopted by government to close the technology gap.
The main challenge here is that women are about 50% less likely to be online compared to men. And we don't have to leave it like that, because we believe that there are both economic, political, educational, religious, and even cultural benefits everyone, especially women, can derive from the internet and ICTs. Why should we be left behind? When a petty trader can use the internet to market her products, why should women be left behind when a hairdresser can use the internet, or the seamstress can use the internet to market and sell her products? And we usually think that because those are informal sectors, they don't really have to bother with internet-related things. Even for working women in the formal sector, beyond the office, we still use the internet to look for information.
Do you have a timeline where you want to see the government act? Because you have come up with some recommendations for governments to act on. Do you have some timeline where you want to see the impact?
In fact, if I should say we want to see the impact from tomorrow. But then the reality of the issue is that whatever he has promised and committed to, they still have to sit and plan. So we are hoping that within the next year to the first 4 years of this government, we will see practical changes.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odami.
Thanks for watching News Today on Joy News. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories, including the various governmental organizations at the port and what they are doing. Thank you for staying here on Joy News. The various governmental agencies at the ports are said to have agreed to the September 1 date for the implementation of the joint inspections for goods arriving at the Tema and Takoradi port. The joint inspection regime to replace the current arrangement where goods at the port were inspected separately by the various port agencies such as Customs, BNI, National Security and the Ghana Standards Authority was first mooted by the Vice President at a recent port conference which brought together the various stakeholders. Senior Minister Yao Safo announced on Wednesday, after a meeting with the various agencies at the Tema port, the new arrangement will significantly reduce delays at the port and which cost the state badly needed revenue.
We are firmly convinced that most of the inspections should be done jointly. The idea of the customs doing their inspection, they finish, and then the national security people come around and say, well, we suspect this particular container or something. Therefore, after you've loaded and you're about to leave, you have to bring everything down for their inspection. This, we think, creates a problem for the smooth operations of this place. So why don't you all get to the inspection? The security man is there, the customs people are there, all the other agencies, NACOP is there, everybody is there, so that we all assess the things ourselves. If we think it contains something which has been declared differently, if we think the numbers in the invoice are different from the numbers in the container, we all count together. If we think that there are shirts which have been classified as singlets, we all see all of them together. So when we finish with the inspection and we give a value and payment is made, there are no more obstructions. Then they move ahead. I think this has been discussed before, and 1st September has been set as the date for this joint inspection. And I'm happy to note that all the players support it and think it should be done. Our aim is to make all the transactions here as friendly as possible to the business community. And it should take least possible time, because time is money. Most of these people require the raw materials for their job. So if they have to load and unload and that kind of thing, it creates problem for their operations. And it gives room for corruption as well.
Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, James Asariansan, pledged the agency's cooperation for successful implementation of the directive and urged the police to also do away with road checks on vehicles and goods cleared to leave the port.
All those who operate within the port would have to, as a matter of necessity, work in harmony to ensure that the activities of the port are very, very smooth, and the ports do not pose any bottleneck to trade facilitation and to the growth of business. Some 2 years ago, the police and hierarchy gave a directive that there shouldn't be stopping of transit trucks on the corridor. It is sad to note that they are back on the roads, and we take this opportunity to remind them about the directive that was given 2 years ago for them to free the roads for fluid movement of transit cargo in and out of the port.
Imagine not being able to control how and when you urinate or visit the toilet. That's the plight of 8-year-old Francisca Okine, who was born with urethrovaginal fistula, a medical condition characterized by an abnormal passageway between the urethra and vagina. That means she urinates and passes stool involuntarily. Francisca, as a result of this condition, is unable to go to school. Her situation is worsened by the fact that her father broke up with her mother because of her condition. Journalist Faustina Safo paid the family a visit and discovered Francisca's mother is now forced to beg for alms.
With tears running down her cheek, Francisca Okine struggles to respond to my questions. She's only 8, but has been through so much already. When she was only 6 months old, her mother noticed she would pass stool and urinate so frequently she had to change her diapers more than 10 times a day. Eight years on, Francisca is still wearing diapers.
Johnson,
She was born with urethrovaginal fistula, a medical condition where there's an abnormal passage between the urethra and the vagina. She can't control when she passes out urine or stool. Her situation can medically be corrected only through surgery. Her mother, Esther Samoa, is only 29 but has already started developing wrinkles. After her husband left, she has become the breadwinner of the family. To take proper care of Francisca, she has to stay by her child. Esther cannot get a job as a result. With no job or money, buying diapers has now become a nightmare.
Ana akwala ni gbe de park no tumi bo na ni nyina sa me nkomba eti akwala ne ho me brankasa ibo ampo a da me nya pampers no etete matare na me da hye no ho na me de polythene bag black ne kese no na me de abo no te se rubber pint me yes ama no so na akwala ne ho nyina apro na ye kro chaka se ibo a me nam na me sire nkrofo a obo a pampers na no atono de ama me se me nje mfa nkobo akwala bibi kaka so bo kita o se je ba ko teduane ma akwala ne na ko teduane ma akwala no.
Begging has now become the only way out. Esther says her attempts to get her husband's family to support the child proved futile as her mother-in-law does not want to have anything to do with the cursed child, as she calls Francisca. In one of Esther's frequent visits to the hospital, she contemplated abandoning her daughter there.
For Miss Seramo, who are Colani Mobo, me to meet you, I'm a cockle book. It may be nice and in Jacqueline, so I mean, Johnny. Miss Quana Becca such a said, Debbie, must have be Facolans, and I young cock, what's it? Young coming to me, Jones, Tina, me bachelor, young cock. Miss Seramo for more Colano because of a colonic condition. In the Pacra Bay, na, Obia, Sebi, a colano who sent it to be unto mint.
Right before my eyes, Francisca involuntarily urinated. Her dream is to be able to attend school like her age mates. She needs your help to have an urethrovaginal fistula repair. For Joy News, Faustina Safo.
Quite a touching story there. Now, 20-year-old Memuna Takoradi can now go to school without having to work at a fufu chop bar to finance her education. Johnny's heard the story of the 20-year-old lady who is a student of Brifo Senior High School but had to pound fufu to see herself through school. Thanks to the benevolence of a Ghanaian based in the United Kingdom, Beverly Odison, Memunatu has full funding for her education. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports.
According to the supervising High Court Judge, Justice Kwasi Boakye, his sister Beverly Odison, together with her daughter Ila, who are based in the United Kingdom, informed him about the story aired on the Pulse on Joy News Channel on May 18, 2017, that shocked them to the marrow.
The head of Rafik Salam reporting about a story where a young girl who is in SSS will have to go to the chop bar and work for 7 Ghana cedis a day. Sometimes she will go down south and do kaya, organize some money before she can come back and go to school. So my sister told me that she was touched with the story together with the daughter. So I should look for the reporter and then see what we can do.
Justice Kwasi Boakye contacted the sister on phone when she met Memuna Takoradi for her to discuss on the kind of support she will need to go back to school. Beverly Odison then asked Justice Kwasi Boakye to present on her behalf a cash amount of 1,000 Ghana cedis to Memunatu and with a promise of footing all her school bills till she completes school next year.
She has promised that we will take care of the school fees and all those related charges. And so today she has asked me to present 1,000 Ghana cedis, which will be 10 million cedis, on her behalf to you to be presented or given to the girl so that here tomorrow she will go back to school to continue. And then from there we will take it on.
Memuna broke down in tears once she saw the money being pulled out and counted.
The money that they give to me, I won't take serious on it. If I go to school, I won't do any careless work apart from reading and those things that they will say that I should do in school.
Senior sister of the fufu seller, Isa Atika, thanked them for the kind gesture.
Memuna came to us to pound fufu and to look for help to go to school. We will thank God Almighty for bringing you the judge and your sister to help her. We are very grateful to both of you. We will also thank Joy News for bringing to light the sad story of Memuna. We want to assure you that we won't let you down.
Justice Kwasi Boakye was full of praise for Joy News for bringing to light some of the hidden issues for public attention.
I mean, Rafik Salam, you know, I've been telling you, you are a fantastic reporter.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
The consortium of US-based health institutions is collaborating with local counterparts to improve respiratory health in Ghana. The partnership has already seen the training of professionals in the respiratory therapy at the University of Ghana, while the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is set to take its turn. Ohiminteria report from Kumasi. Education at the research and advocacy group, the Savannah Research and Advocacy Network, has described as unlawful the removal from office the medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Thomas Anaba. At a news conference at Bolgatanga, the group appealed to the president to call the health minister, Kwekwaji Mamenu, to order and reinstate Dr. Anaba. Albesore has more.
Last week, news of the controversial removal of the medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Thomas Anaba, from office got many people talking, as Dr. Anaba in several interviews insisted that his removal from office, or what was described as a transfer, was illegal, and therefore he was not vacating his post.
Some Ghanaians read political undertones into the decision, but government remained resolute, insisting it did nothing wrong. The Savannah Research and Advocacy Network, an advocacy group based in the Upper East region, at a news conference in Bolgatanga on Tuesday, questioned the circumstances under which Dr. Thomas Anaba was removed.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Sarah would want to ask the health minister whether he is aware that Ghana Health Service under his ministry is completely different from the university system under the Education Ministry. Did he, Kwaku, coordinate with Honorable Machu Opoku Prempe, the Education Minister, on this issue? Sarah would again like to ask the minister whether Dr. Anaba was appointed unlawfully. Has Dr. Anaba breached his contract?
The group also touted his achievements, saying he deserves to remain at post.
His achievements are innumerous, and I'll use the whole day to read them out. Having gone through his achievements with you, Dr. Anaba has demonstrated considerable level of selfless leadership, hard work, and commitment. He is a visionary leader who has exhibited high level of competence and must be reinstated to continue his good work of ensuring quality health care delivery.
The Savannah Research and Advocacy Network called on the president to reinstate Dr. Anaba to help restore the trust of Ghanaians in the government.
By this press conference, we, the members of Savannah Research and Advocacy Network, SARA, would want to advise the president that he should not allow individuals to run his government for the country. Mr. President, kindly reinstate Dr. Thomas Winsom Anaba to perform his duties as a medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, RICH,